If it would please the group, we will go ahead and get our meeting started. Please find a seat and get things going. All right, welcome everybody. Now by virtue of my office, I think I was third or fourth in line here. I called the meeting of the Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District Board of Directors to order for Thursday, November 13th, 2014. If we could all rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, the Metro Cable announcement is as follows. The open session meeting is videotaped for Cablecast on Metro Cable 14, replay on Saturday, November 15, 2014 at 1 p.m. and on Monday, November 17, 2014 at 6 p.m. on Channel 14 webcast at www.sacmetrocabletv.tv, excuse me. And then the open session meetings are also available for viewing on the district website at www.metrofire.ca.gov. Consent items. What's your pleasure with the consent items?
Mr. Chair, I move approval of all consent items listed. Does it matter? Mr. Chair.
I have a question on one.
All right then. We have a motion.
Question.
I was going to handle it after our second.
I'll second it then.
All right then. And on the question, Director Woods.
I don't know to whom I should direct this to, but I had a question regarding why we have 53 employees with 4,000 hours. It's about 75 hours each in excess of the minimum. For those that are watching or anyone that might be paying attention to this in the public, in the private sector you get a set amount of hours each month and there's no way that you can go over your accrued PTO. So just, if somebody could explain how that happens, I'd appreciate that.
I can take a shot at the Director.
Collective bargaining.
Basically, in the contracts, there's a certain provision in there for accrual basis of a 20-month period, and also in our, and I'm assuming because I know of 53 different individuals, there'll be 53 different reasons, but I would surmise to say that over the summer, we had a tremendous amount of people that were deployed all summer long. They've been on a number of different fires, as we've seen in the news over the last 3 or 4 months. And so it would not surprise me if many of those hours were probably scheduled vacations that were canceled based on being deployed. I don't know that to be true in every specific case of the 53, but I would take a stab at that. And if anybody else has a different or version of that.
Actually, it's not a different version, but it is an additional piece of information. The way that the contract is interpreted and executed, if you are at the threshold at the beginning of the year, you are credited your hours. The reason you are credited your hours is so that you can take your vacation throughout the year. You have to have the hours in your bank. With that said, you don't earn those hours actually monetarily until the month that accrues. However, if I put all of the hours into your bank, you get towards the end of the year and you haven't utilized all those hours, they would be sitting there in excess. I would say on a normal year, this happens and we'll probably do 20 to 30 of these individuals on a normal year. Canceled vacations, wife broke her arm and didn't go to France, whatever it happens to be, it's not uncommon.
Thank you, I appreciate that, Thanks.
All right then, the motion has been seconded to approve the consent calendar. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Director Monk?
Aye.
Wood?
Aye.
Scheidegger?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
And Kelly?
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right then, that moves us on to our presentation item. And
Mr. Chair, if I may, Can we open it up to public comment before we move on to presentation?
We will certainly do that. I breezed right over that, didn't I? All right, then. At this time, there is a public opportunity to discuss matters of public interest within district jurisdiction, including items on or not on our agenda. Is there somebody that wishes to speak?
Mr. Roger Mitchell?
It's his time. Welcome back, Mr. Mitchell.
Directors, Chief Wells, staff, members of Metro Fire, I rise tonight to thank Chief Wells for coming to Rio Linda and being our guest speaker at a fundraiser for the restoration of Rio Linda's second fire truck. He was very well received, and before he came that evening, I received a phone call from a young lady at this district asking for a couple of dates. And I was curious to why I was asked. It's simply that the chief was doing some research. But in his presentation, he listed off several dates and times of historic times for the Rio Linda, the old Rio Linda Fire District, that I think I would have to look up to know. So that was well received. And so not only in thanking Chief Wells for that presentation, but publicly thanking Brenda Briggs for the research that she did to help the chief. Secondly, I would certainly like to thank our director, Gary Monk, for him and his wife's donations to our raffle, the TV, the blankets, their help with the setup, tear down, washing dishes, washing tables. All that they do for us is well appreciated. And most recently, we would like to thank Director Ted Woods. He's helped us very much with information that has become very critical to us, and would like to thank him publicly tonight for helping in that endeavor. So that being said, I would certainly be willing to ask any questions that the board members might have.
Is there anybody from the board? No?
Thank you very
Mr.
much,
Mitchell,
directors.
thank you very much for the kind words. Moving on to presentation items. I see Linda Budge in the audience. For those of you that aren't aware, Ms. Budge is a member of the City Council in Rancho Cordova, and she is also Vice President of our the Sacramento Public Safety Foundation. Would you like to take it from here?
Larry Davis, Chief Development Officer, and that's exactly what I was going to say. So.
Thank you for coming.
Also like to introduce Director, also on the Public Safety Foundation, Director Newcomer.
Former director and former captain, Jim Newcomer. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you. Directors, Chief, good evening. I'm Linda Budge, and exceedingly happy to be here tonight on behalf of, as you say, the Sacramento Public Safety Foundation. About 18 months old now, something like that. And so for the first 18 months, this foundation has accomplished something really terrific. They've put together an event, a major event, that was wildly successful. They did a golf tournament. Now, I suppose golf tournaments are not that hard to do. However, this one attracted 116 golfers. It attracted major sponsors who actually were willing to work with a change of date over time, and included Sutter Health. And they had auction and raffle donations, which raised just by themselves $2,000. But I say that knowing that I'm going to tell you that the net proceeds for the entire event, for this first annual event, were $22,000. And that's a remarkable number. So what that has done is give the foundation an opportunity to present some very nice checks tonight. And the first check is going to go to Chief Wells. Isn't that funny? We have a new chief and we get to give him additional money.
Just
So-
personally to Chief Wells?
Hope not. So, Chief. All right. So, Chief, this is proceeds. The proceeds have been divided in 3 ways. And this particular group of proceeds is for $14,396.05. And this particular group of proceeds goes toward the purchase of the Lucas device. Just one Lucas device, but it is one. These things are remarkable, and it is our pleasure to present this to you. And the gentlemen have a wonderful check for you.
Thank you very much. I gotta get behind it.
Sorry, Councilwoman Budge, our president of the association, needs to get in there. Foundation.
I do have a smaller copy of the check to present to you, along with a letter that commits you to buying this Lucas device.
Yeah.
Okay, but also don't just frame this or file it somewhere because the real check is behind it. All right. So, Chief.
I'll give it to Brenda to make sure we get it. Thank you very much.
It is the pleasure of everyone who participated in this golf tournament to be able to do this tonight. The second check goes to Metro Fire's fire camp. And that was really kind of the genesis, or one of the major reasons for establishing this foundation to begin with. And I know that there are a lot of people who could talk about that because there's so many people here tonight who have participated in that. So we're providing $3,000 for the 2015 fire camp. And Brenda is going to accept that. And she needs somebody else to take a picture. Gentlemen, somebody needs to jump up and offer to take a picture. And the check will be right back as soon as we get through writing on it. So, you want to talk about fire camp?
Do I want to talk about it? This group knows fire camp, right?
Yes.
I think I could go on and on about fire camp, but I'm sure not everybody wants me to do that. So thank you. I do appreciate it. Here's the check. Actually, I should say Metro appreciates it.
So, but Jim, we really need somebody. Surely Bill or somebody can take a picture. Okay. So.
They look a lot bigger in person.
Thank you. And Brenda, same thing. Small check for framing, real checks behind it. All right? Now, the third check goes to a really special group of people. For about 10 years now, the CERT teams, Citizens Emergency Response Team, Community Emergency Response Team, has trained so many people. Just here in Rancho Cordova alone, it's been a combination of local citizens as well as people in the schools. It's been an incredible thing. I know it's part of a national movement, and we have appreciated it. They have done so much in all of our public events. I really think she also taught us about drop, stop, and roll under the table or something like that for earthquake safety. But this has been an evolution because for the first 10 years of the CERT existence, they were funded by a grant from the federal government. However, the grant ran out, just like all wonderful grants. And so, because this is something that we really needed to keep going, they looked around and they asked for ideas on where else they could find grants. And they also asked the CERT team members to get involved in looking for grants. So for several years, they have participated in the California Capital Air Show. and they have staffed one of the booths. That's one of the ways in which the air show involves local people, local organizations. And they have made roughly $600 to $800 a year by staffing a booth, probably passing out hot dogs, beer, hats, a variety of the typical things that you find at the air show. However, somebody found Reuse It, which is an incredible organization that actually collects old clothes, but in a unique way, and then people are paid, the organizations are paid, as I understand it, per pound of clothing that they turn in, which is, it's not like you just donate your old clothes to a worthy charity. You actually, your organization gets paid for the pounds of clothes. And so in this particular case, they were able to raise, in a very short period of time, they were able to raise $3,337.95. 3,000, yes, 3,300, $3,337.95. And so we want to call up CERT volunteer Kathy Griffith and our volunteer from Reuse It, Carolyn Petrie, to accept the check. And we have another check that has magically appeared. And we thank you so much. And we should probably, before we take pictures, let's ask Carolyn if you would talk just a minute about Reuse It, because I suspect it's new to a lot of us.
Yes, it is. Reuse It has been around for about 2 years. Our parent company has been in the recycling industry of clothing and household items for over 40 years. We are so pleased to help Sacramento Fire CERT with earning $3,300 within about 2 weeks. It was a 2-week event. This was amazing, and we're just ever so happy. So
wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you, Reuse It. So again, we are very pleased to be able to present this check for $3,337.95 to Sacramento CERT. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much. It's our pleasure.
Thank you. Councilmember Budge, I would just like to extend my thanks, and I'm sure I speak for the board, for your participation on the board for the foundation. And thank you for being here this evening to help make it such a nice occasion. Thank you. All right, then. I guess we would move on to our, well, reports, or shall we handle those and head to closed session? What's your pleasure, Chief?
I would say that we could probably do the reports now and then let everybody go home, and then we could come out of closed session.
I'm good with that. President's report. Probably wondering why I've called this meeting. I have nothing in Director Rosali's absence. Fire Chief's report.
Yes. Good evening, directors. Well, and unfortunately, condolences, obviously, to the horrible incident that happened in our community on the 24th of October. It took the lives of Placer County Sheriff Michael Davis up in Auburn, and before in Sacramento County Sheriff Danny Oliver. Horrible day for the law enforcement community and for our public safety community, so our condolences. A number of Metro Fire resources were honored to be able to be part of that in tribute with the flag, and I know a lot of our command staff, Chief Shannon and Chief Turner, were involved in the funeral. So unfortunately, terrible day for the public safety and the law enforcement. Our hearts go out to the families. Meetings, as Roger Mitchell stated, I was out for the restoration project in Rio Linda Park District on the 25th of October. Also with Director Monk, I attended the Northwest County Business Alliance Luncheon on the 6th of November, and I spoke at the Foothill Highlands Rotary Club on the 10th of November. So getting out there, it's actually a good opportunity to engage the local business community up in the northwest corner of the district, be willing and wanting to entertain those at other venues throughout the district. It gives us an opportunity to sometimes really give the why of what we're doing and why, the passion behind different things that we do, including business inspections and otherwise. And nothing is off limits. We'll discuss things with the business community. Upcoming events. Tomorrow, and I know a number of the directors will be with us at the Sacramento Metro Chambers State of the County Luncheon that's being held downtown. And then the Dean Baker Memorial Crab Feed is this Saturday at 6 p.m. at St. John Vianney Parish in Rancho Cordova. That's always a great event. And, I actually worked with Dean Baker. Dean Baker was a larger-than-life figure. This is a memorial to him, and it's been a great tribute for a long time. So honored to be part of that on Saturday. A number of the folks here in the audience are both attending and volunteering. Save the date for the 4th of December. It's the Single Role Academy, 14-3 graduation. That'll be at 6 p.m. at Tech Center Drive, 9320 Tech Center Drive. So we're looking forward to that. And then, let's see here. We have retirements. Jim McDade, 26 years of service. Served a long time with Jim out there. He worked a long time in the rescue community on C shift at Station 21. And engineer J.P. Santos, also 26 years of service, recently retired. Tremendous wealth of experience out the door with both of those guys. Great firefighters, and we're going to miss them. We have a recruitment, fire inspector. We're accepting applications for the fire inspector November 25th, 2014 by 5 p.m. And then we have an amendment to the fire investigator 1 and shift origin and cause fire investigator. It's a 2-year limited term career development non-peace officer position. We're looking for letters of interest from ranks of the captains, engineers, firefighters, and fire inspectors for that position, and the due date is December 4th, 2014 by 4 p.m. And then last but not least, we had a promotion in this room just on Monday, a young man named Vitaly Kolosov, and he became a paramedic from an EMT in our single role program. So truly a great opportunity for the district and him. And we met his wife Susan, and we look forward to him. Great things to come. So that concludes my report.
All right, thank you very much, Chief. Chief Taylor? Oh, Chief Turner.
Good evening. Steve Turner, Battalion Chief, Battalion 7, Arden Arcade and Carmichael. So I'm giving your operations update, a little bit of information what's going on in the district you're used to getting, and then a little more information on the funeral and the work that Metro Fire did with all the other fire agencies on that terrible event. So in regards to your normal information, our update, 5,121 calls for service in the last month. We've had 15 working fires and 24 vegetation fires. Your update on the EMS calls, 3,942 EMS calls with 2,987 transports. That's just over 75%, which is a good transport rate. It's a rise over most of what we see. Our training hours for last month, 3,897 training hours and 17 public education events attended. So pretty normal for this time of year. October is a busy time. We get a lot of calls. It's a fire safe month and such, as you've been updated. Our stories out there on television and such, our statistics on that are 742,700 viewerships of all of those stories on Metro Fire. So we have much greater viewership coming up. There's going to be a lot more going on in November, so we expect that to rise. A couple other things is the engineer candidates are moving into the third phase of the exam right now. We're going through that process now, and we've got 19 members going through that. And then in addition to the single role academy graduation coming up soon, right after your next board meeting on Friday, December 12th, will be the fire academy graduation. So you might keep that. You'll get other updates on that before then, but you might keep that on your calendar now. So December gets a little busy. In relation to the funeral, that event, So remember, it was Friday, October 24th. I don't know if you know where you guys were, but I live in the Arden area, and I was at home. I was just getting ready to pick my daughter up from school. And that shooting went down at a motel that we have a lot of calls at. The Sheriff's Department has a lot of calls at. Motel 6 on Arden and Ethan has a number of calls for service there that are generally in the nature of quality of life type issues. So folks there don't like getting along with other people. And the Sheriff's Department was there working that scene as they do frequently. And Danny Oliver was shot. His partner returned fire immediately, and as the suspects were leaving, they drove over Deputy Oliver. As you've heard through all the news reports, they went and attempted another carjacking, shot another man, completed a carjacking, and then went to another location, completed another carjacking, cruised through Carmichael before they left up to Placer County, and ended up shooting 2 more deputies, killing one of them. He was eventually captured. So what did fire resources do for all these types of events? Well, immediately upon the shooting call and deputies calling out immediately for help, the nearest engine and medics were dispatched, and that's right in Engine 19's area, Sacramento City Engine 19, and they were able to respond right away and gave aid. And the officers, deputies that I talked to that were on scene were very, very pleased with the service they got from the fire service, starting right there at that day, and the nurses that took care of them also. Well, they set that command post up looking for these folks that just killed one deputy, shooting at the other, and making other events. They set up a major command post that actually held over through the Placer County incident. And our command staff assisted with that. Chief Bridge and Captain Wagaman responded out and assisted with that, organizing fire responses. Captain Wagaman was able to do field conversions of radios there so they could operate from Sacramento channels to Placer channels on the same band series, basically. So there was a lot of interoperability. You hear of all this money we spend on radios to be able to do that type of thing, and he's able to do that in the field, something we would have never been able to do 15 years ago. And so that's been able to change now, and that was a huge resource. But we also were there as part of that command staff to make sure the resources they needed elsewhere throughout the county and potentially moving up into Placer to support that SWAT team were available right away. There was no question about that support. After the event, after they were captured, as the funeral started to be planned and such, these line of duty deaths are big events. We've seen them for fire service. We know they are for law enforcement. And this is a very close one for us. Some of us had worked with Danny Oliver, and it was a big deal. So everybody came together. The family is the one that set the tone for what was going to be done. And if any of you had a chance to go to the funeral, you saw that was the tone. It was less about his work as a deputy and more about him as a person, as a family man, and how he was. That was the family's tone every way going into that. And he had connections with the fire side also, as well as his law enforcement side. So we essentially had 522 as a lead organization, Metro Fire with a very strong role of providing that support and respect for the family, City Fire, Roseville Fire, Placer, South Placer units. 522 gave that broader approach, and CAL FIRE also came out and was a big assist. So the 2 areas we helped in, one, safety for the event. This is a major event that's going to draw a number of people to it. It's going to get a lot of attention, and that's got to be done safely when you bring all those folks there. So there's basically a cocoon of safety with law and fire supporting there on the outside. And our safety assistance for that was command staff with a joint command post, the 3 fire medics from Metro and an AMR medic, Roseville Fire Engine, and Metro's hazmat was staged there in the area. We did a lot of respect for the deputy and his family. They saw from the cemetery and all the way to the church, and then back to the cemetery. And that was you've seen it on television many times, but that is the process of putting up raised flags, the American flags. And there's a lot of standards for that. Not just everybody drives underneath the flag. That you don't do that with a flag. That's for very specific reasons. And we followed all those protocols. And I applaud the captains on the truck companies from both Sacramento City and Metro Fire that managed that process. 522 and CPF made sure we had the right equipment that was safe, able to use, and right there on time. Then we also had companies that were in their first in area at the overpasses that went through that whole area, and they were up there for a few minutes while that procession went by and added attention. And we ends up drawing a lot of people to those types of things. So they actually had folks in position to make sure that things were being safe in those areas too. We didn't have any accidents, crashes, injuries, anything along those lines. And then our fire command staff, from the fire chief and down through senior staff and command staff, attended in respect as attendees and stood along with side by side with the deputies and other firefighters, some on duty but most off duty, that came out to the event. And it was very, very respectful. So thank you for all the support that you give us. We appreciate that. When it comes down to it, out there on the line, there's just some person inside a uniform. It doesn't matter what their patch is, what their badge says, but we're all out there to make folks safe. And it was a tough day. So thank you very much.
Chief Turner, thank you for the report. Any questions? No. All right, then. Moving on to General Counsel's report. Mr. Lauber.
Yes, no report at this time.
All right, then. Is there a report from Firefighters Local 522?
Good evening, Ty Bailey, Local 522. We had our elections for director. Mike McGoldrick was not reelected. I want to personally thank him for all the hard work and dedication, not only to labor, but to the district. He will be missed. Sean Condit, who was a captain for Metro Fire, was elected. He's been a shop steward since 1999, and he'll be a big asset for us. Also, John Barsdale was reelected as a director, and they'll be serving for the next 2 years. Today was our first meeting officially with Chief Wells and his staff. We had great dialogue today, and we're really looking forward to re-engaging and getting back to where we were 6 months ago with a good labor management relationship and moving forward. So I appreciate that, and I want to thank you and your staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the report. Committee and delegate reports. The Executive Committee, again, in Mr. Orzali's absence, we will wait for him to return. Communications Center, JPA, Chief Holbrook.
Mr. Chair, Communications Center JPA met on Monday in a special meeting regarding 2 South County fire districts and a radio issue down there, Isleton specifically. No action was taken other than we were waiting for a recommendation back to look at some funding possibilities to bail out and out of a debt that is owed so that they can continue radio service while we work on a longer-term solution. It states that our next meeting is November 25th. However, that meeting is being rescheduled due to the Thanksgiving holiday, and our executive director being unable to attend. I will get that date to the board clerk as soon as I have.
Thank you very much for that. California Fire Rescue Training, JPA. I can field that one. The JPA has not met since I last reported out. The JPA will meet again on December 11th at Tech Center Drive, 9 a.m. Moving on to Finance Committee, Director Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Finance Committee will meet in these chambers on December 11th at 5 p.m., and all are welcome to attend.
And the Policy Committee, Director Pearson's not here. He's unavailable to make his report this evening, so we will wait for him to return. Thank you. Board member questions and comments now or later? Okay. Director Jones.
I would like to thank Councilwoman Linda Budge as president of the Fire Foundation for awarding all the checks tonight. Thank you for all the participants, golfers, and sponsors. There was a significant amount of money raised, and I'm just so proud of the entire group and everyone's participation to help move us forward on so many different levels, from the Lucas device to fire camp, and then further certs. It's just fantastic. On so many different fronts, Metro Fire can continue to move forward. I'd like to thank Chief Turner for his report regarding Metro's contribution to the very somber events of this past month. And on a lighter note, I'd like to wish each and every one of you a happy Thanksgiving holiday.
Right. Director Monk.
Thank you. It's been a busy couple of weeks as well, attending the meetings with the chief was very informative. The Lunch Bunch is a business civic group and citizen group located up here in North Highlands, Foothill Farms, Antelope, Rio Linda. And the purpose is to get community organizations and businesses together, just to keep them informed of what's going on in the area. And it was really refreshing to get Chief Wells and also Assistant Chief Mike Lozano there to introduce the new guys to the group and allow them an opportunity to share information with the community and the businesses. And there were some really good questions and comments provided, along with best wishes for the future for the chief and his staff. Same thing with the Foothill Highlands Rotary Club. It was a very good opportunity for us to meet with them, local businesses, community leaders, and Chief Wells did a really good job in discussing with the group as to where we're going. And a lot of people didn't realize a lot of the things that we do and the procedures that we follow, and Chief Wells did a really good job in providing that information to them, and did a really good job in fielding the questions that came from the group as well. Aside from that, we attended the Jubilee. That was very well attended. Thank goodness the rain stopped and parted the ways so we could have a nice day out there. Lots of people in the community came out for that. I was really pleased. Rotary Club did a very good job in organizing that. Other than that, just a couple things going on. We had a bake sale, an old-fashioned bake sale at Pancake Palace on Watt Avenue to raise money for the vets, this project that I've been working towards for this holiday season. And in a day and a half, they raised $536 selling goods that was all donated by the local participants at the restaurant. We did receive $1,500 from 522, and I really appreciate that. 522 donated the money to help us feed the vets this year. In the past, we've done it for the homeless, we've done it for a lot of different projects, but this year, with the negative attention that the VA was giving to our vets and postponing a lot of things, it was important that we honored the vets, honored the disabled veterans, wounded warriors, etc. And the donation by 522 went towards several different events that we've got. One that just happened, we had a dinner at the American Legion in Rio Linda. The purpose was to feed the vets. All vets that attended ate for free. And then we had a fundraiser for anybody else that attended, $10 towards raising money to help the vets. They fed over 200 veterans at that event and raised $585 in the event. The purpose for the money is to go to the VA hospital at Mather. They've requested assistance in raising funds for 2 blanket warmers, and unfortunately these things are expensive for hospitals, et cetera, but they raised $585 towards that event, and we support that. We provided the turkeys and the foodstuffs with the money that 522 provided. We also donated some flags. We had a flag display at Depot Park in Rio Linda. We had some big flags around the border and smaller flags in the center. They displayed 4,000 flags honoring the vets for Veterans Day. And it was such that I'm going to say it's the commandant from the American Legion left the post, went over to Depot Park to look for himself, and was impressed with what he saw, making a public comment that they need to get involved in this more next year to help out. If the community's going to do that to honor the vets, they need to do a little more to honor them as well. So we appreciate all the help. Coming up Thanksgiving, a second dinner to honor the vets will be held at the VFW there in Antelope. The goal again is to feed over 200 vets and to raise money. We, again, through the assistance of 522 and our outreach in the community, is to honor the vets. And the money that was donated by 522 goes not only to buying the foodstuffs necessary for that Thanksgiving dinner, but also 10 additional turkeys were supplied for care packages to go home to the vets that couldn't attend. So we're trying to cover veterans wherever they are, wherever we can get to them. Finally, or next to finally, 20 turkeys were supplied, or going to be supplied to the Optimist Club here in North Highlands. Again, to feed those that are in need for a package program. And last but not least, we also provide turkeys for the stations in Battalion 5. So, like I said, it's been a busy couple of weeks. We made a donation at the Jubilee to the McClellan Care Holiday Food Basket Program. They have about 6 different schools that they provide care packages for families that are in need. So we're trying to get the biggest bang for the buck that we can this holiday season for as many people that we can help. And the last thing I've got to say is congratulations to the 4th grader at Sierra Oak School on the slogan contest winner. And I think that's all I've got.
Director Wood.
I won't be quite as talkative as Director Monk. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You can have some of these.
I like Director Jones. I want to also say thank you to Councilmember Budge and Mr. Newcomer for their presentation and all of the work that Brenda does with Fire Camp. As we saw last month with the attention that Skylar Berry got, and because of what she learned at Fire Camp, there's one of her classmates is alive. And that makes every dollar spent on that program worth it, that we saved one kid. And that program and her work is just going out further. So appreciate you guys taking time to recognize Fire Camp. And I want to say I appreciate, we had last month, the Anatolia Homeowners Association had an event. Turned out to be different than what we initially thought, but we had members from 63, Captain Henderson, Holly Wagner, Todd Staffanville, excuse me. Michelle Cummings was also there, and Battalion Chief Hines stopped by. And I already said thank you to Chiefs Taylor and Johnson for the time. Chief Wells, I appreciate them being able to come by in an area like Anatolia where we've had such a struggle with public relations. It was invaluable time that they spent making face contact and working with the kids and the families and getting kids out on the engine out there and the medic. And I appreciate the time that the crew gave to that event. So thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Director Scheidegger.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just quickly, I, on November 6th, had the pleasure of attending the promotional ceremony. A couple of comments on that. I'd like to really acknowledge Chief Holbrook and Brenda for a fine, fine evening. And I'd like to also acknowledge all those that were promoted, a lot of you in this room. And I really, above all, want the citizens of this community to understand the wonderful reflection of Metro that was there that night. From paramedics to engineers to battalion chiefs to captains to assistant chiefs and deputy chiefs. The very best of Metro came out. Ladies and gentlemen, you looked great that night, and thank you for a fine job. And then again, I also want to thank Chief Turner for that presentation. It means a lot to me in my former career, and appreciate the representation that the Fire Service made there. And finally, the Public Safety Foundation is a wonderful cause and a great success. Good work, everybody. Thank you.
All right, then. And if I could add my thanks to Councilmember Budge for being here this evening also, I would certainly do so. And Chief, Mr. Turner, you guys stated the condolences of this organization to the families of the officers that were slain, and it's a shame. It's something that we deal with in this world. And then the only other matter that I would address at this time is the fact that we are going to lose a director on this board, Director Pearson. And to say I was disappointed, it couldn't be overstated that the labor group from this organization decided to take him out. So my disappointment is been verbalized here this evening. Thanks. That's all I have.
Closed session. Yep.
Thank you very much.
session dates scheduled?
Establish our quorum and call this meeting, what do you call it? Back to order, thank you. All right. Legal counsel, can you report out on our closed session, please?
Yes, Director Kelly. The board met in closed session under Agenda Item 1 to consider the Government Code Section 910 claim of Delilah Albert, and by a unanimous vote of 5-0, agreed to deny that claim. The board also met under the same agenda number to consider Government Code Section 910 claim of Kendi Lamb. By a vote of 5-0, the board agreed to deny that claim. The board also met to consider issues related to the industrial disability retirement of employee James McDade. No action was taken on that particular item, and it is subject to your current open session agenda action item. And finally, the board met in the closed session to discuss personnel matters related to the fire chief employment, and no action was taken.
All right, then. The only item we have left is to deal with the industrial disability retirement for James McDade. Is there a motion on the table?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
And I'll second.
We've got a motion and a second on the motion. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Director Monk?
Aye.
Wood?
Aye.
Scheidegger?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
And Kelly?
Aye.
Motion passes.
At this time, we are duly adjourned until the meeting of December 11th. I hope everybody has a nice Thanksgiving.